VPIRG has been knocking on doors across the state of Vermont. If you just look at, the top postcards there, they range from Fairfax and Brattleboro and Burlington, Northeast Kingdom, Orwell, down to Bennington. We're sending out around 30 canvassers an evening right now, is that right? And have been for most of the summer. It's actually shaping up to be VPIRG's most successful and largest canvas office ever. And I think that is in no small part because what we're talking to Vermonters about really resonates.
Right.
People are really excited about getting a strong energy plan. I think we've gone door to door for years talking with people about, well, gosh, what's the next small step? And what we're hearing from the public is they're ready for big steps. You had mentioned the 80% as a stretch goal. I think Vermonters don't view it that way. I think Vermonters recognize that we are transitioning now to a renewable energy economy and likely will be there 100% in some reasonable period of time. And when you talk to them also about where we're already at, the progress we've already made, we're at like 50% now. If we stop selling the renewable energy credits of some of the power that's coming in from renewables. So we've made a tremendous amount of progress, and when we let Vermonters know that, they're really excited about seeing the state hit those higher goals in the future.
That's great.
Yeah, but Dylan, I wanted to give you the opportunity to give the commissioner kind of a snapshot of a day in the life and what you all are hearing on the streets and the back roads in Vermont.
Sure. Well, I think I should preface it by saying this is actually my 4th summer knocking on doors with VPIRG. And the level of support that I've seen this summer is beyond anything I could have ever expected 4 years ago. Over the last 4 years, it's been increasing, and then it just took off this year. People universally, from Fairfax to Bennington to Brattleboro, want to see a change in our energy portfolio. They want to see more energy, and they're ready to make it happen now. They're ready to do what it takes.
And so what are you hearing with respect to the thermal goal? It looks like the postcard asks for 80% renewable electricity and also 80% renewable heating fuel. What are folks telling you about that?
Well, I think heating fuel is something that hasn't really been addressed, I think, in the minds of the public as directly, and I think that's something that they're really excited about hearing about with biofuels and what it can do to our for our logging and farming industry. Something that they're very excited to hear about. And I think that 80% is something that people think is a very good goal. I've had people say they want to see 100%, but they hear that is the next stepping stone is 80%.
Right, interesting. Yeah, because as James said, we have about 48% renewable electricity sources right now, including Hydro-Quebec. But on the thermal side, we're only at about 5% renewable. So in terms of moving the state toward a goal of 80%, there's more work to do.
More work to be done, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm particularly interested in seeing that as a target that Vermonters have expressed support for, and we'll be interested in hearing about concrete steps that can be made to start Vermont further down that path, given where we are now. Yeah. And what about the efficiency side of things? What have you heard from Vermonters regarding the efficiency charge?
Well, I think generally across the board, strong support for efficiency. They recognize that that's an important part of this moving towards using more renewable energies, putting a focus on efficiency.
And have you heard from Vermonters that they understand that, to get the efficiency, they have personal choices to make, but also then statewide policy choices that have been made through the efficiency utility to get us there?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people recognize that they have already taken steps, they want to take more steps, and they want to see the policy in place that will allow more Vermonters to take those steps and generally decrease our energy usage.
What do you all think about, just in terms of the conservation ethic in Vermont, what we might be able to do to further that? To have Vermonters kind of take more ownership of their own energy choices, which will help, frankly, all of us and our bills in the long run.
Well, it's really, I really think it has to be a social movement in general. This has to come down to the public themselves and an awareness, and I think that's definitely there right now. People are recognizing and seeing the issues that our world is confronting in terms of the environment, and people are recognizing that they have to make a change. I like to talk to people about how in 1979, when Jimmy Carter asked for people to wear a sweater, they essentially told him no, and elected Ronald Reagan. But now I'm feeling that there's a strong push in the opposite direction. That people are definitely wanting to, wear that sweater and use pellets instead of blasting the heat or something like that. And so, yeah, really interesting.
Yeah,
And social movement.
it's interesting to me because not just with the postcards you're bringing today, but with the comments we've received at forums that we've had and website comments and email comments that we've gotten, I think one theme is energy independence or security. I'm not sure exactly what the word is, but a desire to have control and buy-in, essentially, for Vermont's energy future right here in the state. And again, on the thermal side, 5% renewable right now. On an export basis, it's just a huge number. A huge amount of the dollars are going out of the state. Whereas if you could increase the biofuels and the biomass on the thermal side, not only would it have the renewable benefit, which is very good, but it also has this side benefit, right, of the economics to the state because the dollars stay more local. So that is something I've heard pretty consistently.
I think one thing that I've been seeing is it fits with there's a lot more work to be done on the thermal side. Vermonters just aren't necessarily even aware of the options that they have. So there's a bigger education curve there. They know that renewable energy works. They know that when the Lowell wind farm is built, it's going to deliver, electricity to 20,000 Vermont homes. But most of them, a lot of them feel trapped in they're stuck with their oil or they're stuck with their propane. The flip side of that, which is good news, is they really don't want to be. It's so expensive. So they're very open to new opportunities, new options, but they don't really know what they are, which was a little bit surprising to me. I live in this little energy bubble, and sometimes, and I think when you get out there and you actually talk with folks, you realize they're not focused on it quite as much as perhaps I am and our canvassers are, but they're really excited about lowering their heating bills. Just tell them how to do it and help them out.
There's a big education component with this plan. And we've felt that in all of the process we've had thus far, and we've talked about how do we bring that out in the plan and keep it going, because when I attend forums and tell folks with the help of VTrans, frankly, that if you're in an SUV, of course, your energy usage is pretty high. If you're in a passenger vehicle, it's somewhat lower. If you put just one more person in the car with you, you're saving a huge amount of energy, and in fact, in some ways, can even be better than an inefficient transit system, mass transit system. That really resonates, and that's the sort of thing that just Vermonters haven't heard. I think that parallels the thermal side.
Yep.
If we could just get more education out there about what a typical home pays right now for energy, how much a typical home should use, what the opportunities are for efficiency, and then when you talk about fuel switching, what the cost savings could be, both to the homeowner and then when you look on a statewide basis, keeping the dollars in state, you really could start to kind of move the conversation through education.
Yep.
So that's why I think this is really exciting because, as I said, the goals on the postcard are bold goals. But regardless of the number on the postcard, what you're doing is educating Vermonters, and that's a huge and very important thing. So,
Great.
Questions or comments, anybody?
Did you guys notice any regional differences? I don't know if you've been to different areas of the state, but did you notice any regional differences when you were out canvassing in terms of what people are interested in?
I think generally all across the state, people want to see more renewable energy. Folks in Craftsbury want to see more wind. We launched our Solar Communities program this past September, which has made solar more affordable for Vermonters. So the communities that we've been working in have seen the success rates of that. We are going to new communities, and folks want to see that program there. They want to see solar more affordable for them. They want to be able to put solar on their homes. So I think all across the board, people want to be able to put renewable energy in place, and they're willing to take the steps to make that happen.
Kind of on that same line of question, do you see any difference between rural and urban points of view?
Not really. It is, again, all across the board. People in every corner of the state want more renewable energy. last 3 years for me, it has tended to be more rural, but now I'm seeing more urban communities like Essex and Williston. The support has skyrocketed.
Interesting.
I'm interested to know what people are saying about transportation.
Transportation comes up less in our conversation. We tend to talk more about energy usage in terms of electricity and home heating. But people are definitely recognize the importance of, like the commissioner was talking about, carpooling, cutting down on our gas usage, especially with gas prices the way they are these days.
Given that transportation is nearly 50% of greenhouse gases and one of the biggest parts of the home budget, what do you think can be done to help inform people more about what might be coming forward in the transportation sector?
Well, I think people notice the trend in gas prices. They recognize that it's something we're probably not going to go back to $2 a gallon, and they recognize that that's a change in their lifestyle that needs to be made, and they're looking for options. In a state like Vermont, they want to see more public transportation opportunities to not drive to work, people that are biking to work instead of driving, carpooling. So definitely, it's on folks' minds.
I think that's one thing that you said resonated with me is they're looking for options. I mean, a lot of it is there isn't an easy solution, but I think when presented with good options, Vermonters are excited about taking them because it costs so much to drive around in this state. It's a rural state. I good example. My wife works up in South Burlington. I work here in Montpelier. I get to walk. She can't. So it's a challenge that most Vermont families face, I think. And presented with a viable option, I think they're excited to explore